All right, people, you know the deal. This is Rap Soup. This is me. I'm Mike. We got Matt, and Nick is back from the bottom of the ocean, so welcome him. Glad to see him again. Not really. Today, we are doing a recap of the 1990s. We've listened to over 120, 30, 40, 50 albums from the 90s, over 7,000 minutes. Dude, we have not stopped listening to music these last few months, and we're just now finishing the 90s.
Nick and I got a couple listened to like 175 or something.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We've been listening. So that doesn't mean we actually know what we're talking about. We have an idea. We got a couple things to discuss.
I couldn't know more what I'm talking about.
I'm just hanging out, man.
Yeah, we're doing our best. We got some things to discuss
nice
today,
work, buddy.
First one on the list, we're going to talk about albums that we never heard before, like never really heard of, but loved after the first listen. We're going to talk about rappers that we weren't too familiar with. Not that we didn't know who they were, but we never listened to them all that much, and then after going through their stuff, got super into them. We're going to tell you the 3 best years of the 90s, along with the worst year of the 90s, and then finish it off. We're going to rank our top 10 albums of the 90s. Which is real tough considering how many we had to go through. But so let's start off some stuff that we never really heard of but loved. What do you guys have up there?
Heard of? My favorite shit, I think that I didn't that I didn't ever hear of is probably OC's albums, Word Life and Jewels.
Mm-hmm.
Never heard of OC.
No, never heard anybody talking about him.
Never. Not a single clue for
and
this.
I thought it was so good, but he was in one of those groups with like Big L, I think, and like Fat Joe or something. I hope I'm not wrong there, but he was in that group. Forget what the group is called. Kind of like their collective. I also really liked Group Home. Never heard of them. And also Company Flow, LP's old group. And then I had heard of 8 Ball and MJG, but I never listened to their stuff, and I really liked it. Their first one was fine, but their second and third were so good. Also, another one that I always liked him, but it was only because of like songs, was Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes albums are amazing. So good.
Yeah, that also was part of the little surprising to me. I didn't realize that Busta actually made that good of albums. I mean, it shouldn't come to any surprise, but I've always just kind of known Busta by songs. Like, before this, like, I probably couldn't even tell you the name of a Busta Rhymes album. But after going through, it's like, these are, like, legit. Like, top to bottom stories. These are full quality projects.
I didn't even know he rapped, like, not super fast.
Yeah, right?
He's just rhyming, dude.
Everything I had heard from him was, like, but then his albums, like, he's rapping like a normal rapper. And
he's got rhymes galore. That's his whole thing.
And I like that all his albums are about like extinction level events.
Yeah.
He's into dinosaurs and shit.
It's some disaster music. His music is not like a happy time. It's not negative, but it's not like, oh, I'm having a good day. Let me throw in some Busta Rhymes in the car, cheer myself up and shit. It's like, no. You're like, I want an explosion in my ear. I want some aggression. I want some hard.
Well,
someone who's not happy with the establishment.
All right, and then my last album that I liked a lot that I never heard of was Breaking Atoms. That was really good for 1990.
Yeah, I had that on my list too. That almost won. And 1990.
Yeah, that almost won. And then I think the last one I'm going to say is Organics by The Roots. I thought that was amazing. I didn't even know they had that until right before we started this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I got
that's
a
good
couple.
one.
I got a couple. I also had Breaking Adam's the main source, like you said. That it's a different time of recording. That might have won 1990. That was so good. I also had Lord of the Underground, or Here Comes the Lords by Lords of the Underground. Wasn't really at all familiar with them, and that was an amazing album. Uh, The War Report by Capone-N-Noreaga. I've heard their names. I know who Nori is, but as like that collective and that album, brand new to me. I thought that was fantastic. Nia by Black Alicious may as well have never existed if wasn't looking up the best albums of the year, but that was another 100% worthwhile watching. Gravediggers, I only heard their name mentioned in songs. I never understood what or who they were. But 6 Feet Deep, that was one of the most different albums we listened to. That was another one it's like so different than most of the stuff you're hearing, but that was nice and aggressive and hard and terrifying, but also pretty funny.
Yeah, those were good. Those mid 90s, like that 93 to like 96 underground shit, like that stuff was really good. I liked it a lot. I heard of a lot of it, I just never looked at it. But I'm glad we did because it's really good.
Yeah, there were a lot of albums just from like artists that I was super familiar with but just didn't know about. Like Hell on Earth by Mobb Deep. I'd never had any idea that album existed. And it ended up being one of my favorites from this whole thing we did. Iron Man by Ghostface Killah. Up until 3 weeks ago or whenever, I thought Ghostface Killah's first album was Supreme Clientele. So to hear that, I was like, whoa, this is amazing.
Couldn't agree more.
I think my favorite that I'd never heard of was probably The Main Ingredient by Pete Rock and CL Smooth. I was so into that album from the beginning to the end. It's like one of my favorites of all time after listening to this.
You never heard of that? Or
No.
you never heard it?
Never heard of it.
You never knew Troy?
I knew the song, but I never dug into what album it was on or anything. I just knew
Troy's not on The Main Ingredient.
Oh, wait. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Mecca and the Soul Brother.
Mm-hmm.
Good call.
Yeah.
That's another good call.
I'm talking the second one.
Yeah.
It's from 94, I think.
I couldn't.
Yeah,
that and Iron Man. I should have said those. Those are two huge ones.
Yeah, you got Nick here to pick up your bootstraps. Help
I
out.
got you, Matt. Don't worry, buddy. And I guess probably the last one I'm going to mention is A Prince Among Thieves by Prince Paul. That I talked about it in our 1999 video enough, but the idea of that album was so cool to me. Even if there was a lot of downtime, it was interesting and like nothing I had ever heard before.
Mike, before you go, let me say one more. Stakes is High by De La Soul. I never listened to any De La Soul before because they just weren't on Spotify and stuff. But I love De La Soul and I keep revisiting some songs on there. So that's my last one.
De La Soul is dead too. That just the fact that me and you listened to it together on CD, because of course I bought it like 2 days before they announced they were putting De La Soul on Spotify. But it was like, oh my god, every single beat on this album has been sampled by someone else later on. Like that album was so influential that it was the first time I had ever heard it, but I had heard almost every single sound from it somewhere else before. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It was so good.
All right. let's go on to rappers you were not, or you were familiar with, but were never that into historically. Whether you didn't like them, or just kind of never really gave them the time of day, or only liked certain songs, but after listening to this, you got really into them.
I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of overlap here.
I could see it, and I guess the first one we're going to start with, because I know it's probably on all three of our lists, is Ice Cube.
Yeah.
Dude, I knew more about Ice Cube from Are We There Yet than I did his listening to his albums. Like, obviously you know a couple songs, but like I never went through his first four, and they were all fantastic. Like, I was freaking out at America's Most Wanted and all the ones after The Predator, Lethal Injection, and Death Certificate.
I was so into Death Certificate in like high school in NWA, but all his other stuff, I had no idea it was that. Like, I kind of brushed it off, like his first three.
Yeah.
Dude, America's Most Wanted, especially.
I just never listened to music made at that time before. So, like, doing this is the first time I'd heard all his earlier albums, and I was like, oh my God, these are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to say Common?
Yeah, that's how I feel about Common Sense.
I didn't put Common because I have always been super into Resurrection, but
I put Common. My other two besides Ice Cube would be Common, and Scarface, and also
definitely
I would
Scarface.
I would like Scarface.
I would also like to say UGK. Even though I listened to them in the 2000s, I never listened to their 90s stuff. And then, like Nick said before, like Pete Rock and CL Smooth.
Yeah. Just going down my list. All the same people. Yeah, UGK, you're familiar with a few songs. I actually saw Bun B in person when I was in Miami. He was just eating dinner. I walked by him and I was like, oh,
what?
Shit. Yeah. It was at the Gold Rush rally in 2014. He was just sitting down having dinner. I walked by. I was like, that's pretty crazy. Didn't say anything. Didn't need to interrupt him. But
dinners.
Oh, dude, that guy's. Oh yeah. Who else did I have in here? Honestly, I don't know. The Roots, New Black Thought, New, Questlove. Never listened to The Roots. Fucking unbelievable album after amazing album. It's of course, when you have one of the best producers of all time and arguably the best rapper of all time, it's not a surprise that they make this good stuff. But like when you think about putting those two together, you wouldn't think of like the outcome would be what The Roots is. Dude, like the albums to me still feel like they're live jazz band performances, even if they're like on a CD. Yeah. It's like, dude, this is the stuff you'd walk into a club. I know. Like you'd walk into a club and that's what's going on. Yeah. It's the sickest stuff. And I'm really glad that I've been going through all of it.
Yeah, it's weird that there's like no other bands that are that had that good of a rapper. I can't even think of one.
No, definitely didn't have. Right, because I mean, you said you could argue Black Thought's the best.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is a lot of people are probably going to give you flack for this, but Method Man, Ghostface, and Raekwon, besides their Wu-Tang songs, I never dove into their individual discographies, like their own albums. What a mistake by me that was, because dude, those guys know how to make music. Some of my favorite sounds of the 90s came out of their mouths.
Yeah, non-stop.
Dude, these glasses are killing me. But Too Short. I never listened to his real old shit.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
Dude, the song Way Too Real might be one of my favorite songs ever. Not even just rap. It's just a funky bass line with a good beat, and then it's just some guy kicking it.
Dude, he has one of the funniest voices.
Dude, he was kicking it.
Spitting game. Yeah. Too Short was sick. They weren't the best albums, but I was so happy I listened to all of them.
Yeah, it was definitely a sound and a feeling that no one else really captured like he did.
Oh, and dude, how could I forget? Don't Sweat the Technique and Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em.
Yeah.
I only listened to Paid in Full and then like Rakim's solo stuff. I loved the 90s. Yeah, I never listened to. I definitely didn't listen to Don't Sweat the Technique. That when we were like 2 months ago when we were on 1992, I was obsessed with that.
Yeah,
I voted in the Chronic as the best just because like historically that's just kind of the best, but I was so into Don't Sweat the Technique.
You know who I had down as someone I never really got into before was Gang Starr. And I wasn't even that into him at first, but then what was their
98?
Yeah, what was that? From 98.
Moment of Truth?
Moment of Truth. I listened to that and that like blew me away.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my god. Guru or whatever clicked in my head, and I went back and listened, and I was more into their earlier stuff too, and that was cool.
Oh, another one. They keep popping up. I didn't even write these down. Was EPMD. I liked EPMD a lot. I heard their 80s stuff before. Like I went back to their early stuff because I saw something somewhere about it once, and their 90s stuff was pretty cool.
I was not that into EPMD.
As far as
it's not my favorite
stuff,
but I liked it.
As far as stuff we never really heard of, The Shining by Smith & Wesson.
I have that down too.
Yeah. That was cool. Awesome album.
Yeah, I guess I kind of started off our first like segment here with what we were supposed to be doing now, but when I was talking about OC, I mentioned like Group Home, that one Group Home album.
What's Group Home? I don't even know.
Did you guys not listen to that album?
No,
it's Living Proof by Group Home.
Oh yeah,
Living Proof by Group Home. I think the same year as what you just said.
The Shining.
Yeah, The Shining by Smith & Wesson.
95.
Yep. 95.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 1995 was awesome.
Great year.
Which leads us into our next segment, Top 3 Years and the Worst Year. Matt, what do you have to say?
I'm probably going to have to go with 95, 96, and 99. Is my top 3 years. And I mean,
is that in order?
No. In order,
I don't have them order. That's tough.
Yeah.
I just have the 3 years.
It was hard to keep off like 98 and 94. But dude, I just couldn't stop revisiting 95. I was stuck when I was still listening to 95 when we were on 97. I couldn't stop listening to 1995. I would have when we started this, I would have expected 94, 96, and then I don't know. Those were for sure what I thought were going to be the top 2, but I think as it stands right now, 95, 96, and 99. But it was all good. Every year was good. I'll save the one that I think's the worst. But yeah, the 90s were awesome.
Yeah. My 3 favorite, 94, 97, and 99.
You put 97 over 95 and 6?
Dude, I really liked 97.
97 was awesome.
Dude, it was Diddy's year. I just loved the sound. There's a lot. Dude, you had Wu-Tang Forever. You had the tweak-ass Jedi Mind Tricks album. You know, No Way Out and Harlem World. War Report,
yeah.
Jay-Z, The 18th Letter, Life After Death. Dude, big year.
That's an other album
year,
that I never really listened to in full. I only knew a few songs from it, but Harlem World by Mace.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still listening to 24 Hours to Live. You did?
Yeah.
I mean, I knew a few songs, but I never listened to it in full. I enjoyed it. 24 Hours to Live is awesome.
Dude, so good.
Donald Byrd samples or something, whatever that is.
Yeah. Then it's at 97, so sick, and then 99, just getting a little more modern. A lot of the people I'm more familiar with. But then 94 kind of doesn't need an explanation. When you have three of the best albums ever. And then a ton of just amazing ones. All right, Nick?
Yeah, I got the same as Matt. 95, 96, and 99.
Toss.
I'm literally for the same reasons Matt had. 95, I was still listening to... I still listen to the Infamous like 2-3 times a week.
I still listen to the Infamous.
Amazing.
Dude.
We talked about it.
You're listening to that album 2 to 3 times a week?
Just songs from it, not full album.
Dude, I just throw it on. Like when I'm just like doing something, I'll just throw on the Infamous. I don't know. It's so good, dude. I can't stop.
No, that's so sick. All right, worst year. Least favorite year. Not the worst year. Least favorite year.
I mean, it's pretty easy to say 1990 or 91 or 92 because it evolved so much the next 6-7 years after that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm probably going to go with 1992 because I felt like when we started, 1990 was... So it was. 1990. I was like, oh, is this gonna kind of like not be that enjoyable to listen to like 25 albums from 1990? But then I was so wrong, and it was awesome. And then it pumped me up for 1991, and 1991 was awesome. And then 1992, it kind of slowed down a bit, even though there was still great. There was great albums that year. Like I just said, Don't Sweat the Technique, The Chronic, Ice Cube, like The Predator, like there's a bunch of sick shit, but
yeah,
it just felt like it slowed down a little bit. But then the next year Wu-Tang came out, and then like Biggie, Outkast, so like it was kind of like a down year to me.
Right. Well, 2 years after that, Biggie, Outkast, and Nas, but
yeah. Wu-Tang, but then after them came them.
Yeah, I'm also 92. It just wasn't a sixth. Dude, I started listening to that year off with Stunts, Blunts, and Hip Hop by Diamond and the Psychotic Neurotics, so that kind of set the tone of a pretty odd year.
That's on you.
Dude, the album was fine. It wasn't bad. Nick, what's your least favorite?
For me, it's 1990. I only listened to 6 albums from 1990. That was like we were first starting. I didn't know how deep we were going with this, but I loved 92. Looking back at the list of albums, The Chronic, Can I Borrow $1, Too Hard to Swallow, Shorty the Pimp,
Mecca and the Soul Brother.
Yeah, Mecca. What the album?
Dude.
There's nothing like that in 1990. I'm
dude,
sorry.
I know. I know. It's like there's like not as good of albums in 1990 and 1991, but when we started and you listened to 50 albums in 2 weeks pretty much, and then you're so pumped that you're like in this new era that like you've kind of been brushing off forever, and then it was just sick. But dude, yeah, I don't know. The like, okay, so the main ones of the top 5 of 1992 are awesome, but like when you get to the back end of what we listen to, it's like kind of weak. Like, Kiss My Black Ass by MC Ren.
Well, like I said, I didn't have a back end in 1990. I only listened to 6 albums.
Yeah.
So it's not. But
dude, it's like,
if I had to pick a second least favorite, it probably would have been 92.
Yeah, mine would probably be 90, to be honest.
Yeah, dude,
because I loved 91.
Once we're not high on the once we're not high on the 90s anymore, it's probably 1990 is the worst. Like, it's this first year, it was the whole new thing. It was like an extension of the 80s. But
yeah,
just the feeling I had when I was all excited and starting out the 90s, it was a lot of fun. In 92, dude, there's so many good albums in 1992. The Chronic, Don't Sweat the Technique, The Predator, Too Hard to Swallow by UGK, P Rock and CL Smooth, Mecca and the Soul Brother. There's fucking all-time shit. But I just
dude with the glasses on.
Yeah. It's all-time shit.
I'm dying. All right. So, now that you understand how we feel about the 1990s, we are going to rank our top 10 albums of the 90s. Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
All right.
But it's kind of... All right, so this list... It didn't change. It's kind of like what I expected my top 10 to be. I don't think enough time has passed. So this list is a little basic, at least in my taste. It's just historically what's always been a huge part of what I've been into. There's definitely like 4 albums in these top 10 that I could totally see changing. But right now, as it stands, my top 10 goes as follows.
Wait, are you starting from 10 or are you starting from 1?
I'm starting from 10.
Sick.
It's a tie, but don't worry, I'll pick it.
Dude.
I'm going to pick it. I have Capital Punishment and Operation Doomsday, and I think that I'm going to have to go with Capital Punishment just because I'm going with rap here. And it's hard to say, but Capital Punishment was... Dude, they're both their own thing. I'm just going Capital Punishment, and we'll get into MF Doom more in the upcoming decade. All right? Yeah. Number 9... Life After Death. Number 8, ATLiens. Number 7, Southern Playlistic Cadillac Music. You can kind of change those 7 and 8 kind of, but number 6, Reasonable Doubt. And then number 5, I could totally see this changing, and no, I'll wait to say that till we're done.
Dude.
Number 5. Dude, I can't with these glasses right now. Number 5, Illmatic. Number 4, Ready to Die. And then my top 3. Number 3, Slim Shady LP. Number 2, The Infamous. And number 1, Aquemini.
Okay.
So,
some good dramatic pauses there, dude. That's awesome.
Okay, so Capital Punishment, Life After Death, ATLiens, Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music, Reasonable Doubt, Illmatic, Ready to Die, Slim Shady LP, The Infamous, and Aquemini. And I'm just going to go out there and say that at this point, I feel like we have humped Ready to Die and Illmatic too much, and they're kind of starting to fall down on my list because I feel like I'm listening to them too much, and that's why The Infamous moved up so far. And I could see some of those moving back, but as of right now and historically, those have been my top 10. But there's so much good shit that I left off that I could see entering later.
Yeah,
it's so hard, but that's my top 10.
All right, Nick.
All right. Like you said, Matt, I'd listened to like 175 albums, so I'm sure I missed some when making this list, but number 10, I got 36 Chambers by Wu-Tang. Number 9, I got Slim Shady LP, Eminem. Number 8, Things Fall Apart by The Roots. Number 7, Operation Doomsday, MF Doom. Number 6, I got Reasonable Doubt by Jay-Z. Number 5, I got the infamous Mobb Deep. Number 4, Illmatic by Nas. Number 3, ATLiens by Outkast. Number 2, Aquemini, Outkast. And number 1, Ready to Die, Biggie Smalls.
Okay. I have a lot of those same picks from both of you. I think everything... No. I only have one album that you guys didn't mention, but I have different orders.
I was going to put 36 Chambers at 10, but I didn't.
It's not that surprising, though. All right. So, for my number 10 pick, I had Life After Death by Biggie. Number 9, ATLiens by Outkast. Number 8, I had Wu-Tang Forever by none other than Wu-Tang. Number 7, I did The Infamous by Mobb Deep. And number 6, Capital Punishment by Big Pun. Number 5, Southern Playlistic Cadillac Music by Outkast. Number 4, Illmatic by Nas. Number 3, the Slim Shady LP by Eminem. Number 2, Ready to Die by Biggie. And number 1, one of the greatest sounds possible, an album I've always been into, but after listening to it in period and understanding everything with it, number 1 is Aquemini by Outkast.
So that means... Dude, yeah. It was... My top 5, it feels kind of insane to put Slim Shady LP over Ready to Die and even Illmatic, but I'm just going by what I prefer, and I honestly have listened to too much Ready to Die and Illmatic. Those get a little, like, I need to take breaks from those, and I don't really ever need to take breaks from Eminem.
No. It's a little different. All right, do you guys have any closing words?
Ready to Die is the best, but...
That's fair. And, dude, it very well might be.
Aquemini.
Yeah.
We made a whole video about Ready to Die, but I think we talked for like 15 minutes about Aquemini in our 98 video.
Yeah. It's so special.
Yeah, dude, there are so many tough things to leave off. I left out so many Wu-Tang albums, and I'm wearing a Wu-Tang hoodie for this. Wait,
Yeah.
No, we're not done. Let's talk about who won the 90s. Top 3. Who won? Number 3?
Outkast.
No, number 3.
Number 1, Outkast.
Number 1, Outkast. Okay, number 1, Outkast. Number 2, Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang.
Every album they put out was good. Their solo albums too. And then number 3, who would it be?
Diddy.
Nas.
Oh,
Nas.
Nas had 4 albums. Ice Cube had 4 good albums.
There's Nas. There's Biggie. There's Tupac. There's Mobb Deep.
Biggie only had 2 though.
There's Jay-Z. Yeah, but
dude, Tupac too maybe. Fuck.
I think I'm giving it to Diddy, dude. Diddy did so much. I mean, dude. I know it's kind of... I mean, then you could throw Dr. Dre in there, too.
Yeah.
Like, those guys...
But
that was the 2 leaders of the West Coast and the East Coast.
But Dr. Dre had Eminem and 50 Cent in the 2000s, too, in the game. And he's been going since, like, 1987.
He's a billionaire, dude. He won his whole life. But he also won the 90s.
I'd say that's fair putting Dre as number 3. Just kind of having Outkast, Wu-Tang. I think Outkast, Wu-Tang, and Dr. Dre sums up the 90s.
That's very 90s.
Yeah.
I don't know
if you got a New York, you got a Atlanta, and you got a LA.
Southwest on the saying, know what I'm saying?
That's a good call, Nick. Yeah, we'll do it by division. All right, that's cool then. Because I wouldn't agree with Diddy or Dr. Dre. I'd put I would put Biggie or Tupac or not.
We have not talked about Tupac in this video at all, which is crazy.
Kind of crazy. Well, because you were familiar with all his stuff, but it just didn't make our top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, All Eyes on Me being in none of our top 10s. Dude, people do not agree with us there.
No.
People have All Eyes on Me high.
Dude, and people have me against the world high too. Those were two hard ones to leave off. It's just personal. I can't believe I put Capital Punishment in 10.
I think if we did
No, dude, I put it at 6 and I don't regret it at one bit.
I know.
Dude, Capital Punishment is unbelievably sick.
He was rapping and then going to he made Capital Punishment. All right, go listen to it if you haven't. And listen how crazy he's rapping, and then think about how he was 600-700 pounds, and then he was showing up to award shows to accept awards in these kind of glasses. It's so funny.
Yeah. No, the album just hits so hard.
It's great.
It's just the way it is.
It was in my considerations for top 10.
It hit.
Yeah. All right, any closing words?
The 90s. We'll see where it ends up once we reach present day. Our next video will probably be next week. We'll start 2000. But dude, we have there's three. We're doing the 90s, 2000s, then 2010s, and then first few years of the 2020s. But we'll see if the 90s wins against the 2000s and 2010s. 90s was amazing.
We shall see. It put up a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Early predictions, I think 2010 to 2020 is going to win.
Same.
But I think it's going to be then the 90s, then 2000 to 2010, and then modern doesn't count because we're 3 years in. Oh, the 2009, yeah. You know what I mean. That was just our childhood years, but all right.
It was so fun. That we just spent 2-3 months on the 90s, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
This is a good trip back in time.
Yeah, I like to think I understand rap music a lot better right now.
Because we
do. Definitely.
Yeah.
Just listening to a lot of these 2000s albums so far, it's a different... They don't sound as dated when you're coming from the 90s as opposed to listening to a bunch of 2020 stuff and then going back to it. It's weird. It's a brand new perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I would like to thank you guys for watching. I would love to hear your top 10 or any comments you have. We will respond to all of them. We will engage. We'll discuss. We'll hang out. Go get some ice cream. If you guys could like and subscribe, that would be real sick too. And if you really liked it, maybe you'll share it. But I'm not expecting anyone to, so thank you for watching. This was Rap Soup, and peace out.